I think we're ready for CAGBag.
Yep.
Let's see. At Time Doctor writes in, and he asks if we've played PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds yet. I mentioned that I'd played that before. That's the game where it's like 100 people on a map that you get parachuted out of a plane into, and you start with nothing, and you have to find weapons, and sort of every man for themselves, or there's like a team mode as well. It's pretty wild, and it's pretty fun, and it makes for great social media clips because crazy shit can happen in that game. I've seen some hilarious things. I would be very surprised if you don't see it at somebody's E3 conference, at somebody's press conference this year, because I feel like that game has a lot of potential to be successful, even though it's basically an indie game. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it could be like an exclusive somewhere. Somebody should probably grab that up for console exclusive.
And they've already sold 2 million copies of it. I think I saw.
Wow. Okay. And it's in early access. I'm pretty sure still. Yeah. I think that's, it's not a big, stretch to say that game has a lot of potential. It's a lot of fun. Battlegrounds. At Bing Bang Boom has a question for you, Wombat. He wants to know if you're now pro indie since winning all of those Xbox games. Sounds like you might have changed your tune compared to a few years ago.
It wasn't that I was ever anti-indie. I was anti being told that I had to like a game because it was indie, and that's what true gamers were supposed to be playing.
Aha.
That's what always bothered me. I have no problem with like indie games that I like because I just want to play and enjoy it, as opposed to, like when Braid came out and every critic was saying, if you don't play Braid and love it, then obviously you don't understand the medium. Well,
right.
That's different.
So you didn't have a problem with the indie games per se. You had a problem with the indie game fans, really.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
And their attitudes.
Yes, they think they're better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
When really we all know that I'm better than everyone else.
Especially since
Braid was pretty good.
Yeah,
I like Braid.
Me too.
So how is your indie game
bonanza
scene going right now, Wombat?
Well, right now I'm trying to finish up Mass Effect, so I've sort of taken a break.
That's not an indie game
from that.
So you've set those 20 games off to the side.
Yes, I feel like it's funny because I feel like I played one like a couple of days ago, and I played that rhythm game that you have, GP Arrow. Yeah, I played a good amount of that.
It's hard, right?
I played it on regular mode, and then I played it on the I'm an Idiot mode.
Yeah,
and that was fun for a Sunday morning. Elliot and I played that together.
Yeah, it has cool visuals, and
yeah, we had a lot of fun. We sat on the couch and we watched it, and he kept asking me questions. What planet is this? Who are those guys? What are you doing? Why are you moving in a circle?
Right.
What's the line for?
Is that Skill Rex? Let's see what else we got here. Okay, at Peoples204 asks, seeing how the PS4 Pro wasn't an Instagrab like a new iteration of a system tends to be, do you think Scorpio is gonna do well?
Is PS Pro a new iteration of a system?
Well,
sure.
Yeah. It's a redesign of sorts.
It's the same as like a slim version of a system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
except more expensive. They went in the other direction.
It's not a new, but it's not new in the sense that if you have a PlayStation 4, which is the best selling of the new consoles.
If you looked up the definition of new and iteration, that is exactly what the PS Pro is.
Is that what I guess?
Well, the difference is that usually the new iteration of a system is cheaper than the other one. And this one was more expensive than the other one, but offered what's supposed to be substantial benefits, although you got Prey, which apparently doesn't have any PS4 Pro enhancement, and you got Injustice 2, which I haven't read anything, been able to find anything about any PS4 Pro enhancements. So have developers given up on this shit already? Is it over? Is this like the new VR, PSVR, and every other?
There's not enough people with 4K TVs.
The problem isn't the console. The problem is that technology. 4K TVs are not as common. When the 360 came out and the PlayStation 3 came out, the HD TV revolution was in full swing. A lot of that has to do with the NFL and networks broadcasting in HD. And until you see that happen in a more mainstream way with things that are not video games, and then the TV prices go down significantly, there's not going to be a real reason to buy these kind of consoles. When everyone has a 4K TV, then everyone will need a 4K console.
So you think that the Scorpio is going to basically suffer the same fate as the PS4 Pro, I guess.
It's not a bad fate. It's just, it's not.
Well,
I think they know that, though. I don't think they're putting this out because they expect it to be a huge seller. I think they're putting it out to say that they have it out.
No, I agree. I agree with that. But I didn't expect the support to dry up so quickly. That's the alarming part of this. Like Sony,
you have to, once the NFL starts broadcasting in 4K, then all of your games will have a 4K mode. But that's what's gonna happen first. In some capacity, the NFL is gonna need to be able to broadcast in 4K.
Isn't the
whether it be via an app or via the networks, until you have 4K NFL, you are not going to have universal support for 4K.
I don't even think 4K NFL will matter. It's just a matter of when people need to replace their TVs.
Well, once the switchover really happens and everything's in 4K, like it was with HD. But even then, I don't think that's that much of a drastic difference where people are going to feel as obligated.
That jump to HD also happened at the time where we went from, like very shortly after we went from CRT TVs, these big hulking pieces of furniture, to having thin TVs.
It's a pretty amazing technological advance.
Right. It's nowhere near going from 1080p to 4K.
Right.
And I agree with you. That's 100% true. I mean, it's amazing when I think of the 27-inch TV Sony Trinitron I had in the living room as a kid and thinking how massive it was. And looking back on it now, it's tiny compared to the 55-inch flat screen that I have in my living room.
You mean just like viewing size, not the actual item itself.
And not the actual item, but the actual item itself was massive compared to what I currently have. Exactly. It's striking how much that technology has advanced. And, CRTVs were the only option for 50 years? So...
Yeah.
Well, so we're not going with that drastic a technological advantage.
So to answer this guy's question, I think what we're saying is no, we don't really expect the Scorpio to sell big numbers or to push Microsoft even with Sony or to gain ground with Sony. I think it's more of like a marketing point. Is it something you could run commercials around? And also it seems like Microsoft is headed in the direction of, hey, we're not really going to have a new generation of consoles. This is really now like a PC and it's a platform and we can just keep releasing incremental upgrades every couple years and everything's going to be backwards compatible and we won't have to sort of have people abandon their software libraries, just like a PC. So, yeah, I think that's sort of what's going to happen with Scorpio.